Hi everyone, welcome to my Pixinsight Intermediate series for beginners, if that makes any sense. So today, on part 3, I believe now, of the Intermediate series, we're going to talk about dynamic alignment. When and why. So you were out all weekend and you got your LRGB of your galaxy. In my case, my luminance was M106, and the RGB was M106, and you calibrated all your subs. You got all your luminance, your flats were done, your darks, and you got your final image, which is right here. And you got your blue and green and red. So these are all your channels of all your hard work of LRGB. And all of a sudden, for some reason or not, during the weekend, you had to pull the camera off and put it back on. And then here's what you noticed. Let me just reminimize these two channels for a second, and let's just keep the red one open. When you go to bring all these together, you found out that your luminance night no longer matches the RGB. See, if I hold it down here, the whole galaxy is like, it's way off. If I put them right over top of each other, that's how we compare two frames in Pixinsight. And so when I click and hold, all the stars are out and the galaxy's way off. The entire frames no longer match up. If you try to stack these two, Pixinsight's going to say there's a geometry problem. These two frames are not even, or whatever. And for some reason, this one's a little bit bigger than the other one, size-wise. Look, I'll take the red one. I'll take it, and I'll put it over top of the luminance. Again, I'll hold, let go, hold, let go. Hopefully you can see that. If I hold, all the stars are out. So what are we going to do with this mess? Well, thank goodness, hopefully, something is going to come to our aid, and that will be under process, all process, dynamic alignment. This is what today's video is all about. And let's open up the red channel again. And how do we use this? Well, it's not that hard, but it takes a little bit of time. So open up your dynamic alignment module and bring it down a bit. To start, we have to select the source. The source is a red. So you see there's a little 1 on my icon. So click on red, and then you have a target. And this is the target, number 2. You see my icon turn to a 2. 2. So 1 is red, 2 is luminance. And go up here. Now all the numbers show up. And for the sake of being able to match these stars with these stars, we're just going to increase the size of our search to 60 pixels, or maybe just 60 number. Perhaps it's 60 pixels. This is a 20 megapixel image, both of them. So I use 60. I don't like using 10 or 20 or 30. Seems the number's too low. So we put 60 in the box here under source and target. All right. So what do? Well, we need to pick a whole bunch of stars on this side, and when you choose one, it should show up on this side. Let's try one. Let's try this one right here. Click it. There's the box. The one beside it. There's the box. And underneath that one, oh, down a bit. Hold on a second. Sometimes you're too close. Let's not go too close. Let's move down a bit. Let's go this one. Good. This one. Good. Up. 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 And then instead of saying up all the time, I'm just going to keep clicking. Make sure that every time you click, you look over at the other box, because they have to absolutely match star for star. Put as many as you can. I have put as low as 20 and as high as 100. The more, oops, again. Okay, if you find this is happening, maybe bring down the search area to 40. If one star is jumping on top of one square is jumping on top of the other. Just continue on here. Okay. Here's a little one right here. Good. And some more here. This one. Yep. This one. This one. Now if this field had 3,000 stars, just take 20 or 30, and here's the most important part. Make sure that the stars in here are here and not on the outside edge. Like if there was a star here but it wasn't on here because the frames were way off, don't do that. Try to stay within this parameter so that it actually matches here. For example, here's another one down here. See how it shows up perfectly. How many got? I got 31. Let's try 31, 32. Okay, and don't forget the most important part again. You can put as many as you want, but make sure you get the outer ones so that this rotates and shifts over properly. Get ready? All right, so here we go. So we're going to execute. That should create a new frame. Let's close this. Yes. Now let's take this here. Always don't forget to resize zoom to zoom, or size to size, size to size. Now let's bring this over and see if the core of the galaxy, this little galaxy, this big galaxy, and these brighter stars match up because they didn't earlier. Let's have a look. Push, let go, push, let go. Absolutely perfect alignment. Now these two frames, now our RGB will now match L, luminance. So for all intents and purpose, we can double click here and put down a D just for the fact that it's done. In other words, we're not going to, it's a good frame, but it's offset. We're not going to use that. So I'm just going to say OK, File, Save As, put a D in front of that. This D, move up, save it. I got so many now, I've lost track of how many times I've tested this. Okay, so this is our good frame. How do we know? Because if we bring it over top of R, it fits. Now, at the risk of making a mistake, let's have a look at blue. All right. Whoops, sorry. You have to grab the very top, touch the blue bar. Everything is perfectly aligned. Okay, now there's a problem. And you might have noticed it. Let's bring this down a bit. If I zoom in a bit, there's a black line here where the frame was rotated quite a bit. And even though I think it still matches with my zoom, whoops, not quite. Yeah, it's perfect. So sometimes this will be really badly offset. This will be really black here, really black here. I mean, it's a complete twist. Not to worry. We're going to fix that by using the dynamic crop, which I didn't know you could do this, but watch what happens here. So let's hit the dynamic crop, bring it down here, or up here actually. You have to have it up a bit so you can use it. And a little bit over. Grab the corner, bring it down, bring it back up. The idea is to don't grab this right there. Get rid of that black bar. There we go. So we've taken out a few pixels on the edge, but it's no big deal. Now, don't hit apply. Don't hit apply. Instead, grab the triangle, the new instance, and drag it down here and drop it. Then leave it there. Now, hit apply on this frame. Hit apply. That should shrink it. Perfect. Close the dynamic crop window. Don't touch anything else. Grab the new instance and drag it on red. Perfect. Now, because they all have to be readjusted, you also have to do it on blue and on green. Now, let's see if that worked. Let's go back to this, size it up, size it up, size it up. Come on, you're hiding back there. Okay, so I'll grab my new frame. Gray matched up perfectly. And this one here, get out of the way. Perfect match. And finally, the red channel, which was working earlier, it's lined up perfectly. And we have our luminance, and now we can get out of this process. Just right click and no longer have to use it, so get rid of it. So we've accomplished our mission with dynamic alignment, dynamic star alignment. I mean, you can take two frames that are completely offset. For some reason the camera was rotated or something moved or whatever, and you say, oh, now I'm in big trouble. These two frames will never line up ever again. And now they do. That was the whole purpose of this particular video, just to show that. I use it quite a bit for other purposes. That's the main one, is to bring those two sets of all those frames, those LRGBs together. Now also, you could also use it for something else. Let me just move mono up here. Let me go into my files again. Let's go to, not sure if it's in here or not. Nope, let's back up. Go to GTMP. Let's go to H, I think it's HA, it could be this one here. One of these, let me just check. It might be HA and O3. Let's open those two files up just for a second. Close this. For some reason it makes little previews. Okay, let's make sure that the windows are completely squared up on their sizes. So now we have HAO3. Let's line these up over top of each other. Okay, so these ones match up, but I believe it's because I already fixed them 3-4 days ago. What was happening is, here's how it looked. See how I click and it's way, way off. These two frames went on top of each other way a mile out, but now it wasn't LRGB. It was just HAO3. And so I had to take the one, dynamic alignment, go on target and source, line them all up. That became a new frame that matched up perfectly. I had to square it up because the rotation was pretty bad, and then they both fit, and then you put them together using Pixel Math or a SHO module, sometimes even linear fit, where you can just take, I'm going to try it right now, but this is not part of the video. So let me see if I can grab HA here. Okay, and then I'll just see if I can put it on top of O3 just by dragging and dropping it. Probably not, but maybe. Seems to be working. I didn't get any errors. Yeah. Okay, perfect. So this O3 now has all of this HA embedded in it. And I think you can tell that if you go to do undo. So let's undo. Let's undo O3. Oh yeah. And then redo. It gets dimmer, but there's supposedly the other file of all this hydrogen alpha on top. Now maybe the way to do it is the other way, is to put O3 over top of HA. I do not know because I don't do narrowband. But this was not mine anyways. It was borrowed from a website that they said, use our data and enjoy practicing on them. So let's close that and go back to our video. Now we have L lined up, R, G, B. What do we do with these? Well, we want to put them together as one final image. But I suppose before you do that, normally you usually work on each frame. Like you'd want to continue processing your luminance to reduction of the noise, bringing out the core, do all that, and then finally when you're done, your both your pictures, you can put them together. For now, I'm just going to figure that we've already done that, and we're going to put LRGB together. Now, I suppose the simplest way is to use LRGB combination, which is what we have here. So this is pretty straightforward. If all your images end with LRGB, watch what happens. We'll go to the L, we'll click on here. No, that didn't happen. Oh, because the word registered. Okay, let's cancel that and let's do this right. Always rename your files, if you can, to what they are. For example, in this case, it's luminance, so I'm going to put the L on the back. Save it. Let's try it again. Click for L, luminance it is. Red, combo red. Green, green, blue, blue. Okay, so couple things you can do here if you want. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But again, I don't have narrowband filters or a filter wheel. What I have is two cameras that are identical. One is one-shot color, RGB. The other one is a mono luminance. So that's how I create LRGB. Two cameras, identical. One's color, one's a mono. And then I put them together. This is what I get for a result instead of having all these filters and all the expense of another $1,500. So in the transfer function, you can drop this down to about 450. It'll increase the color a little bit. And if there's a lot of chromiance noise in your one-shot color, you can just select chromiance and it'll reduce it. But for now, let's just try this. At this point, I always forget whether I'm supposed to go apply or apply global. I'm going to hit apply global, which is for all 4 frames. Let's see if it makes one image out of LRGB. And there it is. Okay, so minimize that. Close that actually. Minimize these. Put the LRGBs away. Come back up. Oops, sorry about that. And so this is a culmination of 4 hours of red, and 4 hours of green, and 4 hours of blue, 6 hours of luminance, and there's M106, and I mean it is way out there. The stars all line up. The colors pretty nice. Hold on a second. Okay, so, and of course, hopefully before this you did all your processing, because that's a little bit noisy, but that's about it. And because it's an RC, you have those nice little spikes there. That's pretty nice. From here you could probably adjust this for sure. I mean, this is not stretched, I don't think. It is stretched. Okay, so these are all stretched properly. So if we go to window number 2, I have the one that I worked on a little bit more, and well, there it is. There's a nice colors. It's a little bit saturated. The stars are nice. There's about 10 galaxies in this frame, maybe more. So there's M106 as it is here with luminance, RGB. Luminance was out of whack. Something was completely turned over, and the dynamic alignment plus our LRGB combination created this image. Now I'm going to try something else that's going to fail, but I just want to try it anyways. Let me minimize this. Okay, down here. We're going to do this, and do this. I'm going to open these 3 channels again, RGB. This time we're just going to use channel combination only. Let's make one file out of RGB. So let's go to R, automatically selected. G, automatically selected. B, automatically selected. And apply global, I believe. And okay, look what happened. We now have RGB as one file. So let's minimize all these guys. Now we have this and we have this, but in reality, I'm going to send this to another workspace. In reality, what we wanted to do is just go RGB and L. Can we just have 2 files instead of all 4 RGB luminance? Why can't we put luminance on top of color? Or can we do it? And I know that some people can. By using linear fit. In other words, take L, put it on the colored frame, and make them one final frame. So we can work at it from there on in. So let's try linear fit. Make sure we hit the clear button. Look for luminance. And I'm not sure if it's going to work. Probably going to get a geometry error. Otherwise, I'll make another video and we'll show you. I'll practice first. And see if we can combine 2 files like I did earlier with HA03. So I'm just going to drag this instance of luminance and I'm going to put it on top of the color frame, see if I get an error. Okay, so incompatible image geometry. I get that all the time. So I don't know, let's try, instead of dragging, let's try apply global. So same problem. I don't know why I always get that error. I still haven't solved what's causing that error. I'm sure you guys probably see what I'm doing wrong. But the linear fit way of dragging these 2 files together, it doesn't work. I don't know why it doesn't work. Another thing we could maybe try instead of that, and I wish I had done this before I started this video, but by the way, as far as the dynamic alignment, star alignment is concerned, part of this video, it's over. You guys learned what you learned. I'm just kind of experimenting a little bit more here. Let's go to Pixel Math for a second. And earlier, okay, so we're going to use, instead of a single expression, we'll use all three. So RGB, but see, all that's going to do is bring these three frames over here together. I don't want that, that's for sure. So I'm going to just clear it. So what if we did, let's go to expression for a second. And under RGB, what if we double click image 25, which is colorless? Okay. And if we did plus and went to L and said OK. So let's try that. And let's maybe just, I'm not sure if you're allowed to put them in bracket, but there's something about brackets that you have to try it. Let's try RGB plus, in other words, RGB plus luminance, and let's see if we can create a new image and make sure that it's RGB color. So single. This is probably not going to work, but I'm just experimenting. And then I'll close this video and we'll go on to the next one on my next video, which will be talking about a different subject besides dynamic alignment. Okay, so let's see if we can apply global. No. Let's try. Okay, wow. That worked, but that looks burned out for some reason or other. Might be the fact that they're in brackets, I don't know. And I think the color's all gone. So that would not be the way that I would do it. Let's see, what if I remove, or let's try something. Let's put the bracket back in and divide by half. Let's see if we can do that. Okay. The color's still there. Both frames are together. So we learned something brand new using Pixel Math. Let's look at the expression again. The expression is RGB, well, it's image 25 back here, but I should have renamed that RGB, plus M106 in luminance, which is back here. Alright, so RGB plus lum in brackets, and then divide its weight by 2. And it gave us this right here. Now let me just minimize this. Oh, I'm glad we learned that together. So if I can unstretch, okay, if I restretch, unstretch, okay. So at this point, I'm sure you could be a lot of work you could do here. You could start making your masks and start lowering the noise a lot. Then you can go to your local histogram, bring this in, HDR, bring it in, unsharp mask. Eventually you're going to want to bring up your saturation. Make sure that you can bring your star down with the star mask and morphological transformation to shrink the stars. And eventually I'm going to make a video on deconvolution. So I'm not even going to save this, but it was nice and it was fun. I made a lot of mistakes. There we go. This is our image 27. Already lost track of what I'm doing here. So this is 25 and this is 27. This is probably the combination of LRGB, with just RGB and just L, which is always why you should rename your files. Okay, so that'll pretty well do it. I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to put LRGB_1 for that one. That's renamed. And just go File, Save As. It says 1. We're good. XISF. Thank you. And we're going to go here. This one I'm going to go the other way around. RGB_L_final. And I can keep this one and work on it later on. Some more. And save that one. Go here. Save as. RGB final. We're good here. I can even put it in here. And save it. XISF. And later I'll turn these into TIFFs or JPEGs if I want to show my friends. Okay. So, what happened to our luminance file? That might have been it. Well, it didn't look like a luminance file. Let's go back on window number 2. Workspace, send it back to number 1. Come back here. And make sure that one's already saved. Yes, it is. Okay, that's it. Again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and tell all your friends. Hope you learned something. I enjoyed making them. I hope you guys are enjoying it too. Please comment below. I made a lot of mistakes. Some of them not on purpose, others just as a learning curve with pixel math and linear fit. And we'll probably visit linear fit again. I noticed that last time we used linear fit, it was for breaking apart RGB and repairing the green cast. So it does work, but it depends on what instance. And it could have been a lot of things here. Maybe one of my frames was stretched, the other wasn't, and so linear fit didn't work. For size-wise, these are 2444. If I open up blue and hover over it, it's 2389. That might have been it. It might just have been an offset. See down here? 2444 by 1612. That might have been it. It doesn't matter. Okay, thanks guys. I'm going to stop it here. And a lot more videos this week coming. I had planned to do 8. So now I'm down to 7 if I can memorize them and take my notes and put it down. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for watching the Astritude channel. See you on the flip side.